Hi, my name is Tristan Brownjohn, and today we'll be discussing the order Rodentia, and specifically the North American beaver. The phylogeny for this order can be seen here with this figure. The members of this order utilize a broad spectrum of foods and inhabit many different niches. They outnumber all other mammals and most terrestrial faunas. This is due to their small body size, allowing them to inhabit a bunch of different niches. Or generally small body size, allowing them to inhabit many different niches and utilize different resources. There have been many radiations throughout history of rodents, with clades majorly split up by different skull features, specifically the masseter muscles and the zygomatic arches. The clades are Ctenophystриca, which is made up by the Hystricomorpha clade, the mouse-related clade made up of Castoromorpha and Anomalomorpha and Myomorpha, and then the squirrel-related clade of Scuromorpha. And related are the lagomorphs. And the phylogeny for our specific species is clade Castoromorpha, order Rodentia, family Castoridae, genus Castor, species Castor canadensis, the one, the only American beaver. Beavers originated in North America during the Eocene and spread to Europe over the Bering Land Bridge in the Oligocene. They were mostly burrowing animals at that point, but developed aquatic lifestyles during the Miocene. The species is represented by two extant species, the Castor canadensis and Castor fiber. It used to be a much more diverse clade, as you can see in this figure, including members like Castoroidinae, the giant beaver, which was a less effective woodcutter, but roughly 2 meters in diameter with a similar aquatic lifestyle to modern beavers. The most closely related species to the modern day beaver are in Geomyidae, the kangaroo rats and allies, and gophers.
So the life history, the young are going to be born with their eyes open, and they'll be swimming within the first 24 hours of birth. After about 3 months, they're going to be free to roam and find their own food, but they will stay pretty close to mom and dad to make sure that they're going to be okay. Juveniles, this is where they're going to be learning just how to be a beaver. They reach sexual maturity about 2 to 3 years of age, and in that time they're going to be finding their own food and helping repair the lodges when they're broken and storing food for the winter. And typically females are going to be the ones that stay a little bit longer than the males. The males will go out about age 2, and then the females will leave about age 3. So their adult lives, they're going to be a keystone species for wildlife habitats, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Their lifespan is about 20 years. They're going to be living in colonies about 10 to 12, and normally those colonies consist of previous litters. They're considered a nuisance animal, so they're just a little bit annoying to the human population, and rodents have been growing in population for a while now, but beavers are starting to mitigate that with their monogamy and their breeding intervals. So talking about reproduction, as I said, they mate for life, they're monogamous, and their mating seasons are usually from January to March in the colder regions or in the north of their habitat, and will extend into November and December in the south, in the warmer regions. They have a 3-month gestation period, and they usually have about 1 litter per year. These are called kits. They'll have 1 to 9 in a litter. And normally the older females are going to have more babies, whereas the ones that just reach sexual maturity are going to have about 1 to 2 in their first litter. The babies are weaned after 2 weeks, and both the male and female will care for the young as long as the baby is still in the lodge.
Okay, now we're going to be going over general characteristics of the beaver. Their fur is glossy with either brown to yellow, brown, or black top coat. Their undercoat is made up of finer furs, which helps keep them insulated and waterproofed, and keeps them dry and warm in the colder times. They have Large orange incisors, they are orange because the teeth actually contain iron from the body, which helps keeps them strong. Their teeth grow continuously and wear unevenly at the tip, which gives them a chiseled appearance, and it's better for cutting. They can also grow up to 1 inch in length. Their skull and teeth are very large compared to their overall body size. This is likely the characteristic that gives them the power needed to chew through the tough bark and cambium of trees that they eat. Their hind feet are webbed for improved swimming capabilities. Also, their hind legs are longer than their front legs, which makes them have a forward-leaning stance when on all fours. And it also allows them to stand on their back 2 legs and use their front hands to hold and manipulate things like when building a dam. Their tail is long, flat, scaly, and black. This helps them with swimming, and when they slap it against the water or land, it can be used as a defense mechanism against predators. Their tail can be 7.9 to 14 inches in length. Male and female beavers also possess a castor sac and a pair of anal glands located between the pelvis and the base of the tail. They use this castor for scent marking their territory or for reproduction. The castor is also a great antibacterial ointment for a skin fungus on humans, and when ingested by humans, it works as a great laxative. Alright, there's a couple similar species that could be compared to the beaver. The first one is the nutria or koipu. It's probably the most similar looking mammal to the beaver. They even live in similar places as them. Overall, to tell them apart, you can really just look at the tail. The nutria has a long, round, scaly tail instead of the paddle-like tail on the beaver. They also, similar to beavers, have webbed back feet and large incisors, but like beavers, they are a bit smaller in size compared to them. The other one is the river otter. It's probably less likely to be confused for a beaver, but at a quick glance they may be mistaken due to similar habitats. But their furry, slender body sets them apart from the beaver. Overall, beavers are some of the largest rodents in North America, and their popularity in culture and cartoons makes them a very recognizable species to most people.
The American beaver population is doing really well as they are listed as a species of least concern on the IUCN Red List. Trapping beavers has become a common practice all across North America for hundreds and hundreds of years. Today, beavers are still hunted for humans by their pelts. Beaver pelts have been used in making all kinds of accessories, but the most famous use of beaver pelts were felt hats. They've also been used in making like collars and stuff on jackets. A new practice that has come into play in beaver populations is the blowing up of beaver dams, and this is usually done with something you can buy at Academy or Walmart called tannerite. And basically you mix these 2 powders together, you'll throw it down into the beaver dam, and if you shoot the little can with a center fire rifle, it will blow up. Humans have adopted this practice due to beavers blocking waterways and flooding areas of property that do not need to be flooded. By flooding areas of trees, it can potentially kill the stand of trees and cause them to fall over. Flooding can also ruin pasture land by making new ponds or floodplains and completely changing the vegetation structure. Those 2 factors can lead to potentially a landowner losing lots and lots of money, which is not good. The American beaver is generally found all across the U.S. and into some areas of northern Mexico and Canada. The beavers do not like the desert regions, as beavers need lots of wetland areas, which we will get into shortly. Oddly, beavers are not found in most parts of Florida. This is because the climate in Florida does not get cold enough for the beavers. Also, the vegetation types in southern Florida will not support beaver populations, as beavers need lots of woody areas. American beavers are semi-aquatic mammals, which means they'll spend around half of their life on land and half of their life in the water. They do typically prefer streams and smaller lakes to build their dams on, since most beaver dams are found on islands, banks, and between land shores. The American beaver's highest period of activity is nighttime, so they can hide from predators better. This works well for beavers as they will typically travel to land for their food, but as you can see in this picture here, they do not always have to do so. The beavers will eat leaves, roots, bark, and cambium from trees and other woody vegetation. The cambium is the soft tissue that can be found underneath the bark of the tree. They do typically prefer bark of willow, maple, birch, aspen, cottonwood, beech, poplar, and alder trees. Beavers do have a special digestive system that allows them to eat this woody material. Beavers are hindgut fermenters and have an enlarged cecum with a complex microbiome that aids in digesting approximately 30% of cellulose taken in from the woody material. Beavers will also build similar structures to dams called lodges. Dams are more long and try to take up more space to stop water flow, while lodges are more so of mounds. Lodges are where the beavers will live and raise their young. The lodge works by having two underwater entrances that turn upward and stop right above the water column. This creates an air pocket where the beavers can hide from predators and raise their young. The lodges are safe as the only way to enter the lodge is to swim underwater through the entrances. The bottom of this air pocket is layered with mud and wood chips that provide a softer nesting area for offspring. Beavers are very territorial animals as they also pile mud on the outside of these lodges and rub their scent onto the piles so other beavers know whose lodge it is. So a little bit more on habitat selection. There's been some research that shows that they will pick herbaceous wetlands due to the abundance of food resources around rather than open water bodies. Since they live part of their life on land and part of their life in water, it'd be less useful for the beaver to live in an open water body since they have to go back to land to get their food. It is also easier for the beaver to stop flowing water in smaller herbaceous areas than an open water body such as a lake. However, they will tend to use open water bodies for protection against predators since they are such good swimmers and for breeding purposes.
Beavers are the largest rodents in North America and the second largest rodents in the world. A beaver's teeth, which are orange due to the protective coating, grow continuously throughout their lifetime. Beavers possess a set of transparent eyelids, and this allows them to see underwater. Beavers also have enlarged lungs, which allows them to hold their breath up for 15 minutes. As the people of western Idaho began to clash with the beaver populations back in 1948, the Idaho Department of Fish and Game were determined to move these threatened beavers to a nearby area that was more protected. They devised a plan including using World War II surplus parachutes to drop boxes of beavers down from planes. Out of 76 beavers that made the skydive, every beaver except one survived the fall. Beavers are a keystone species. They maintain habitats that are relied on by many other organisms. The habitat they create are wetlands, which inhabit mammals and many waterfowl species. The wood they use provides shelter for many different insects and in turn a food source for many different bird species. A beaver will fell a particular tree for a particular reason. A large mature tree will be felled to form the basis of a dam. A young second growth tree will be felled for food. Beavers will also fell broad leaves to encourage regrowth more within their reach. Particularly young trees, a single beaver can fell up to 200 trees in 1 year. It's difficult to say for sure how much wood a beaver chews because it depends on the size of the beaver and the type of the tree. A single beaver typically eats 1.4 to 1.5 pounds of food per day. Property damage caused by beavers in the U.S. is estimated to be around $100 million every year.